This video is sponsored by Grand RP. Rockstar Games has finally proved their incompetence and is definitely breaking some kind of law somewhere. Rockstar Games has failed entirely. We can now get a clear picture of how they operate internally. They seem to lack any form of professionalism. Rockstar Games pulled the PC version of Grand Theft Auto: The Definitive Edition from the Rockstar launcher after 2 days of the service being down for maintenance. Players had to find this out on Twitter, of all places. PC players have not been able to play the Definitive Edition since launch, being met with failure to connect to Rockstar service warnings when trying to play their single-player games that they bought. Rockstar left us in the dark for 20 plus hours as they left their systems down. This is the first tweet we got. Services for the Rockstar Games launcher and supported titles are temporarily offline for maintenance. Services will return as soon as maintenance is completed. They either couldn't handle the traffic or there was a deeper issue, but they cut off PC players, essentially revoking their access to connect to the launcher to launch these games, so we couldn't play the single-player games because their servers were down.
Like a couple of hours after the trilogy released, the services for the Rockstar Games launcher went down. All the titles went down. You couldn't play any of their games. Rockstar, of course, claimed that this was simple maintenance. I mean, every company, a few hours after releasing a game, goes into maintenance and takes down all their games. That's just a standard practice in the gaming industry.
Then, many hours later, they posted a second tweet. We thank you for your patience and understanding as we continue to work on restoring services for the Rockstar Games launcher and supported titles. Number 1, we don't have the patience and understanding. Don't thank us for anything. An update that says nothing, offers no information, and doesn't apologize or admit fault in any way. At this point, we should have seen regular posts and updates letting the player base know why they couldn't play the games they purchased, because their services worked long enough to charge our cards and get their money, but not long enough to let us play the games we paid for. The third tweet is the most interesting and most recent at the time of making this video. The Rockstar Games launcher is now online, but GTA The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, is unavailable to play or purchase, as we remove files unintentionally included in these versions. We're sorry for the disruption and hope to have correct ones up soon. The nail in the coffin to this horrible release. Why are you removing access to games I bought? Where is my automatic refund? I paid for a game, and you took it away. In this moment, as I'm writing this and reading this, you basically stole $60 from me, and countless other players. Why? Because you don't know how to properly manage your game releases and carefully monitor what you're setting up as the game files that will go live. This entire situation is only the tip of the iceberg. PlayStation players who lived in certain countries who pre-ordered the digital version of the game were able to play it 24 hours early. So players on PlayStation have been able to play it since a day before the official release, and PC players still can't play it 2 days after release. So console players can rest easy playing their games that work because Sony and Microsoft have services that can actually handle high traffic volumes and they know what they're doing. But PC players have to suffer and wait with eyes glued to Twitter for Rockstar to get their terrible Rockstar launcher working again. At this point it's live, but it was down for more than 24 hours. And keep in mind, it's live, but they removed the definitive games that we bought from our libraries. This launcher is awful, and it needs to be thrown out. They need to revert everything back to Steam, because Steam works.
All of this just works.
Unlike the services that any of the incompetent employees at Rockstar who manage the Rockstar launcher can provide. By the way, console players were given the option to preload the games, unlike PC players using the Rockstar launcher. They made them wait to download the games till they were live, then went ahead and locked them out from playing them anyways. My understanding at this point is that the PC version and Switch version of the release accidentally included data files that Rockstar didn't want public. Data miners like Vadim M have been able to dig through these files and find all sorts of things. I recommend looking at this guy's Twitter, it's very cool. For instance, internally the game was called 3 Master, and every single game is based on corresponding mobile ports, and it uses mobile game scripts. So we basically paid $60 for 3 mobile games by a studio that wasn't really capable of doing the job correctly. Some of the game's issues make you ask if they even playtested them. Unbeatable missions seemingly prove they didn't. Because of this leak, data miners have been able to find uncompiled code from the game with developer commentary. Also, apparently the PC version of the game has all the unlicensed music hidden away inside as well. I planned with work to make time to complete these games over a 3-day period so I could write and edit an entire review for the games, but I've been delayed 2 days and set back. You would think that since Rockstar only had one job in this entire situation, they would have done their part smoothly. Grove Street Games would handle developing the games, and Rockstar would handle the distribution. Unless this is Grove Street's fault for including the wrong game files, which it probably is. Everyone there seems to be incompetent on both ends. Rockstar should be ashamed, embarrassed, and offer compensation. People were so confused by the sudden disabling of the Rockstar services that they troubleshooted for hours before realizing it wasn't even on their end, it was on Rockstar's. You wasted so many people's time. Why do users have to go onto some third-party website like Twitter to figure out why they can't play games they bought through your launcher? The launcher should have been updated to display some kind of information. What would you, a multi-billion-dollar company, do if Twitter had as shoddy service outages as yours? How would you update us then? Not only did you waste our time and basically steal our money, but you locked people out of playing GTA 4 and Red Dead in single player. Your anti-piracy methods on the Rockstar launcher are overreaching. Disable them immediately. I do not need to connect to your server to play my single-player game that I bought. The updates during this outage are few and far between, offering barely any information. The third tweet is the first tweet that apologized and gave us actual information. Maybe after the 48 hours, someone with some common sense grabbed the phone out of the moron's hand and told the community some information that's actually useful. I guess from now on we need to cross our fingers and hope that we'll be able to play our single-player games because Rockstar decided that we need to be signed in on their servers to access games that are installed on our hard drives that we paid for with our money. I'm going to review these games once Rockstar realizes that they have my $60 sitting somewhere in some money pile and they let me run the game that I've already got installed. Remember that they went after the modding community with lawsuit after lawsuit to take away all of their hard work just so that they could do it themselves and do a worse job of it. If you wanted to play GTA Online while the shoddy Rockstar services were out, you'd get a front row seat to error screens about how the servers are down. Fortunately, the talented people at Grand RP keep their servers up and running for thousands of PC players 24/7. Grand RP has over 250 DLC cars, each with customization options. The UI looks clean and professional, making your playing experience satisfying. You can have a variety of jobs, like becoming a police officer where you can enforce the law, a street racer who can race in cars not available in GTA Online. Or maybe you want to join the FIB and become an agent. You can do that too, and fight against gangs that are trying to take down your sting operations. You can get rich, buy cars and homes, and even decorate them to fit your own taste. Skip the loading screens when entering interiors that are custom made. Join or create a family with your friends and gain access to special missions. Missions like infiltrating an aircraft carrier or robbing a bank. Visit your family's house or garage. This server is always active and it's fun to mess around in. Join Grand Roleplay today through the link in the description below and get in-game bonuses, and check my Discord to see when I'm on and we can play together.